Hey YouTube, what's up? Han Solo here. Just wanted to talk to you guys today about something that I thought was a rather important topic that you don't hear much discussion about. Today we're going to call this video Gear Shakedown. Okay, what I like to talk about today is your gear. Everybody's really proud of their gear. We spend all this money and all this time accumulating all this gear. But let me ask you a question. Have you ever put it all on to see if it all works well together? Have you ever tried to do a mag reload on your rifle from your carrier or from your pouches or wherever you keep your backup mags? Have you ever tried that for your sidearm? Have you ever walked around with your full pack and your carrier on at the same time with all of your loaded up mags and your firearm and your sidearm? It gets pretty heavy and it gets pretty taxing. So one thing we could talk about here, maybe I show a little diagram. So this is what I like to call the curve, right? You got the amount of weight you can carry ascending and how strong you are ascending. And this is what one might imagine the line would look like if charted on a graph, right? Nice straight line. The stronger you are, the more you can carry. But the fact of the matter is, no. What we find in actuality is that the line goes up as you get stronger, but there's a certain point where it just starts to taper off. And the reason for that is stamina. Rest, okay? You gotta have stamina, you gotta be well rested. Sleep is a weapon. So, back to the topic of the video, I guess. When you put all this stuff on, you learn things very quickly. Like almost instantaneously, you'll find out if your system jives or if it doesn't. You know, can you reach your emergency backup weapon with both hands? Can you reach your tourniquet easily, even if you're laying on your stomach? If you got like a big IFAK or something here on the front of your pouch, are you going to be able to lay in the prone position? Or is it going to make you way raised up off the deck? An open target in a field, possibly. You find out that maybe your ear protection doesn't afford you a solid cheek mount. And then you might have to improvise your sight picture. Just like if you're shooting with a gas mask on. You can't put your cheek right up against the buttstock because there's a gas mask in between you. So you have to learn to modify your sight picture or the way you're gripping, holding the rifle. Have you ever put fancy systems on your rifle? You know, you got backup sights here on the side. That's so that you can get as flat as you can, maybe shooting under a vehicle, under a barricade. Special purposes, you know. If you've got your armor on and you try to use a full-length buttstock, it gets really, you know, you get an extra 2 inches, sometimes 2.5, 3 inches because of the padded armor. The plate that's in there is 1.25 inches, 2 inches thick, right? Unless you got that polyurethane armor that just came out, that stuff that floats, that's just really thick. So you find that maybe an adjustable buttstock can do you a real solid. Plus, moving in and out of vehicles with a rifle in this configuration can be rather difficult as opposed to something shorter like this, a 16-inch system. Know where you're located, or your gear is located on your system. For example, just by putting all this stuff on over and over and over again and reaching for things where they are, you create muscle memory. And the muscle memory will become second nature so that in times of stress, you don't have to think about where you're reaching and what you're grabbing. You know what you're doing because you've done it 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. So there needs to be an intimate knowledge of all of your gear and all of your kit and all of the ways that it functions together and separately in order to maintain a functional system. Also, the body changes. You know, the way you've got your carrier set up this month might not be the same next month. What if you put on 20 pounds? Then you got to loosen up your cummerbund. Maybe you got to relocate things. Maybe you've gotten fitter. Maybe you've lost 20 pounds, 40 pounds. You got to adjust your plate carrier for your new body design. And it's always the weight consideration that's our limiting factor. Once you know your limiting factor, you can begin to move on past it. You know what your weaknesses are and can define them. You can get stronger. Let's see. Also, empty hand skills. You know, we've got all this stuff and that's all really cool. But what happens if all of your stuff fails you? What happens if it's just you versus whatever the antagonist is? Nature, man. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration here. Another thing I like to touch on real quick is these plates. They're pretty dang expensive. So you might want to look into getting training plates. You know, if you go run and jumping into the prone position on the range with ceramic plates on, there's a risk you could damage them. And that's going to set you back pretty far. Look around. Talk to other people with a like mind in your community. Find out what they do with their systems and find out if any of those things can be adapted to yours to help you be more efficient in what you do. So I hope you guys like and enjoy. Subscribe. More content coming soon. And maybe we'll get a better camera and some actual lighting instead of doing this with my cell phone. Alright guys, Han Solo out.